Kalkadosh Boketo Masechet Shekalim Daf Kaf Aleph. So we are on Kaf Aleph Amud Bet. We're actually doing today's Daf is Kaf Bet, which is 22. But we're just going to start Kaf Aleph Amud Bet 21b, the last Mishnah on the bottom over there, Alachah Gimel. Okay, the Mishnah said Basar Koche Kadashim Shenitma. When you have meat of Koche Kadashim, remember there are certain sacrifices, Chatat, Olat, Asham. We write a guilt offering, sin offering, right? Burnt offering. Those are considered Koche Kadashim. We read it in the Korbanot in the mornings. Right, that it became impurified, whether it became purified with an avatuma or with a vladatuma. Remember, avatuma is either a dead body touches another human, meaning a human being touches a dead body, so the human being becomes an avatuma, or a sheretz, a creepy crawler, is a avatuma. The only thing which is a viavotatuma is the dead body in itself. A corpse is the only thing that could become an aviavotatuma. So it's an avatuma. Right? Or vladaduma. Vladaduma means a rishon letuma. Remember, the vlad is like a child of tuma. So therefore, it's the rishon letuma. Men mivifnim, ben mechutz. Whether it was inside of the azara or outside of the azara, bet shamai omrim, bet shamai come and they say, hakol yisaref bifnim. Everything is going to be burnt on the inside of the azara. That means even if it was impurified on the outside, you burn it on the inside. Chutz, except for if it became tameh with an avatuma on the outside, so since it was tameh betuma chamura, so therefore, right, it's going to become impurified. Okay, and you have to do it on the outside of the azara. That is the shita of Bet Shammai. Second shita. Okay, why? Because basically, since it was tameh with such a tuma chamura, we don't want to bring it inside, right, of the azara. If it was done on the inside, it's something different. But if it was on the outside, we're not going to bring it in. Second shita, Bet Hillel omrim. Bet Hillel come and they say, Akol yisaref b'chutz, you always burn it on the outside, except for, meaning, on Bet Shammai, everything was on the inside except for, right? That means the exception was there's going to be one case that's going to be on the outside. The Bet Hillel is the exact opposite. Everything is going to be burnt on the outside, except for if it was nitma with a vladatuma on the inside. Okay, because since it's a light tum'ah, because it's a rishon letumah, which is a vlad tumah, and it was done on the inside, you leave it on the inside. Third shita, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Rabbi Eliezer says, right now we're on Kaf Bet Amud Aleph, which is today's daf, on the top, 22a1. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Rabbi Eliezer says, Shenitma be'avatuma, right? If it becomes metameh with an avatuma, ben mi bifnim ben bachutz, whether it's on the inside or the outside, you always burn it on the outside. Shenitma be'vladatuma, which means, according to Shitat Rabbi Eliezer, I don't care whatsoever, right, on where did it become tameh. All I'm making a differentiation is what type of a tumah, the stringency of a tumah. Bet Shammai's status quo was everything is on the inside, right? Bet Hillel's status quo was everything on the outside, and then there's always an exception to the rule. Remember, whenever there's a rule, there's an exception to the rule, right? And Shita Shlishit Rabbi Eliezer, he says no. Rabbi Eliezer says it all depends what's the tuma. Tuma chamura or tuma kala. If it's tuma chamura avatuma, it's on the outside. Doesn't matter whether it's mibifnim or mibachutz, it became tameh. If it's tuma kala, which is vlada tuma, a lighter tuma, which is basically the rishon tuma, whether it's on the inside or the outside, it's going to be on the inside. So fourth shita Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva omer makom tumato sham srefato. Says Rabbi Akiva, I don't care about what form of tuma, I care about the place. Shamte, meaning right there. If it was on the outside, outside, inside, inside. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, depends on the tum'ah. According to Rabbi Akiva, depends on the place of the tum'ah. So on the bottom, yesterday, if you remember, we mentioned that on the art scroll, on the bottom, you have a chart. Okay, there you have the chart on the bottom. I apologize that mine is in Hebrew. So anyone that doesn't understand Hebrew, you're going to have to get it in English, right? Or you have it in English. But they have, I think, the chart. No? Everyone has the chart there? Yeah. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Which means that is, thank you, right? Which means that according to, right, there you have Bet Shammai, Bet Hillel, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Akiva, and then you have on the outside, inside, outside, inside, and the avatuma and the rishon letuma. So you have the beautiful chart over there, but I just told it to you. It's very, very simple to remember. According to Rabbi Akiva, the place. You're going to ask me, Rabbi, it's on the inside. Yeah, but I didn't even tell you, Rabbi, whether it's avatuma. I don't care. Inside is inside. Where did it become tameh? Outside is outside. That's Rabbi Akiva. Very simple. There's nothing what to get mixed up about. According to Rabbi Eliezer, nothing to do with the place. Depends on the tumah. Avatuma, outside. Rishon letuma, inside. Doesn't matter where. I don't care. That's on the Tumah in itself. That's what I'm paying attention to. And Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, Bet Shammai status quo is on the in the inside. Bet Hillel status quo is on the outside, except for the exception to the rule of each one. So it's very, very simple. Okay? Says the Gemara. Bar Kapara Amar. Says Bar Kapara. Yeah? So he says, Bar Kapara says, Avatuma Devar Torah. So now we're going to bring a machloket amoraim in what is an avatuma and what is a vladatuma. So according to Bar Kapara, he says avatuma means that it's a doraita. Tuma mi doraita. Vladatuma is tuma mi drabanan, mi divrehem. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Rabbi Yochanan argues on Bar Kapara, and he says, no, benze u benze, doesn't matter whether it's the avatuma or vladatuma in our Mishnah, devar Torah. It's always doraita. Meaning, don't tell me that it's called avatuma and vladatuma because it's doraita drabanan. That's why one's kilu the father and one's the child. But says Rabbi Yochanan, no, right? They're both doraita. Everything's doraita. So says the Gemara, the kasha de Rabbi Yochanan and the Bet Shammai, right? The Bet Shammai omrim. Now we're going to have a question according to the shita of Rabbi Yochanan. So again, remember, according to Rabbi Yochanan, they're both doraita. Avatuma is doraita and Rishon Latuma is doraita. Okay, and says the Gemara, we have a question on shitat Rabbi Yochanan on Bet Shammai. The Bet Shammai omrim, Bet Shammai says Akol yisaref bibifnim. The status quo is that we always burn everything on the inside. Except for if it was going to be nitma be'avatuma, right? That it became impurified from the avatuma on the outside. What's the difference between avatuma b'chutz and vladatuma b'chutz? At the end of the day, if they're both toraita, what do I care that if it's an avatuma b'chutz, so let it stay b'chutz. But it's a vladatuma, bring it in. Why bring it in? They're both toraita, right? They're both not toraita. Yeah. So the truth is, I don't know exactly what was such a question if we already answered that technically when we hinted to it in the Mishnah that we said it was a tumah kala. So since it was a tumah kala, it wasn't the end of the world if you're going to bring it in. Right? That's what we already said, but okay. But says the Gemara, Va'afilu al de Bet Hillel lo mekashia. Now what? Is it not a question also on Bet Hillel? Why? The Bet Hillel Omar, because Bet Hillel says, Hakol yisarem b'chutz. So remember, according to Shitat Bet Hillel, the status quo is everything is on the outside, you have to burn it. Except for if it was nitma bevladatuma mi bifnim. If it's going to be in nitma with a vladatuma on the inside. Now, vladatuma bifnim. What's the difference between a vladatuma bifnim and avatuma bifnim? At the end of the day, they're both toraita. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, we have this question that we don't understand. Okay? That basically, what's it if they're both toraita, so what do I care? Right? At the end of the day, it's the same halacha. So the Gemara does not actually answer the question. The Gemara just continues now and to explain the shita of Bar Kapara. Okay, so it doesn't answer the question, right? Even though I don't know why it doesn't answer the question, we actually explained it, and that's what we mentioned. We said the reason why is ve'afim nitma b'chutz v'eta tumato kala shenitma bevlada tuma machnis it ulazon. So it's tuma kala and tuma chamura. So I don't know why right now they're not thinking of that right now. Okay, it doesn't answer it. Fine. So it says now, right? The Gemara. Lo havu bar rabbanan elal devar kapara. So the rabbis were only teaching, right? They were going, lo nasu netzul yasher. They didn't try to answer according to Rabbi Yochanan, because they didn't actually really have an answer to Rabbi Yochanan. So they were going in the shita bar kapara. Vekashia. So now they said, 1 second. But also in bar kapara we have a question. Why? Vekashia. But there's a question in shita bar kapara. The bar kapara al Bet Shammai. Right now we also have a question on bar kapara according to shita Bet Shammai. The Bet Shammai said that we burn everything on the inside, except for if it was nitma avatuma b'chutz, unless it was a tuma chamura, which is avatuma on the outside, that you burn it on the outside. Ma ben avatuma ben b'chutz mebifnim. 1 second. What do I care if it's on the inside or outside? According to Bar Kapara, if you're going to tell me that the entire svara is that avatuma is doraita and vladatuma is derabanan, so if it's doraita, what do I care if it's on the inside or outside? The second it's a doraita, everything should be on the outside, right? So you see that there's a question in his shita as well. What? It's not Dvar Torah, right? So here the Gemara answers. The begin Rabbi Akiva Amar Mekom Tumato Sham Tesrefato, which means the Gemara answers that the Chiluk in Bet Shammai is the exact same thing like the Svara of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, what did he say? If you remember, we said in the Mishnah that according to Shtat Rabbi Akiva, it's always the place. I don't care about the stringency of the tumah. I always care about the place. Where was it? It's bifnim, bifnim, bachutz, bachutz. Very simple. I don't care about anything else. So he says, mekom tumato sham tesrefato. So because of that, that's the reason why also, according to Shita Bet Shammai, right, if it was done on the inside, it's going to be burnt on the inside. If it's done on the outside, it's still going to be done on the outside, right? But there is obviously a difference between Rabbi Kiva and Bet Shammai. Because according to Rabbi Kiva, also by Vlada Tumah, it's going to be the same halacha, right? Because he's always going by the place. But according to Bet Shammai, no, it's only if it's an Ava Tumah, that it's Mina Torah. Because if it's going to be with a Vlada Tumah, since it's only the Rabbanan, you're not going to bring it into the Azara. You leave it on the outside, right? And that's it. Va'afilu al de Bet Hillel lo mekashia. Now, isn't this not a question also on Bet Hillel? Right? Again, we're in Shitat Bar Kapara. One is Doraita, one is the Rabbanan. Ava Tuma Doraita, Rishon Tuma is the Rabbanan. Va'afilu al de Bet Hillel lo mekashia. The Bet Hillel, Amar Bet Hillel says, Akol Yisrael b'chutz, the status quo is you always burn it on the outside, except for if it became Tameh, bevlada Tuma bifnim, except for if it becomes Tameh with a Vlada Tuma, Rishon Tuma, right, on the inside. If it's already a Rishon, what do I care on the inside or the outside? Are they not both the Rabbanan according to Bar Kapara in Bet Hillel? So answers the Gemara, begin to Rabbi Shimon Amar. He said, no, he was talking about the Svara of Rabbi Shimon. Because according to Svara of Rabbi Shimon, Ma'achalo mashko shel metzora mishtalchin chutz leshalosh machanot. When you have the bread, right, meaning the food, and the liquids of a metzora, that means they became tameh through a metzora, a person that has leprosy. It also has to be like the metzora itself, which means just like the metzora itself, he has to be sent outside of shalosh machanot, machanot Yehuna, Levian, Yisrael. So too, the food, which becomes tameh through a metzora, has to be sent outside as well. So since, according to Shitat Rabbi Shimon, even the food and the drinks have to be sent outside, so the same halacha would apply that when you have basar that becomes tameh, you're not allowed to bring it inside of the azara. And therefore, according to Shitat Bet Hillel, if it became tameh with a tumat of vlad, with a tumah of vlad, tumah on the outside, even though it's only midrabanan, we don't bring it on the inside because it says outside, right? But if it was done on the inside, we do leave it on the inside. So those are the two svarot. So the Gemara does answer up according to Shitat Bar Kapara. It does not answer up according to Shitat Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, fine, very good. Next Mishnah, Halacha Daled. Okay, fine. Remember also that this is actually the last Mishnah of the Perek and of the Masechet. Okay, so we're at the end. The Mishnah now we're going to be talking about the Emurim, right, and the Evrei Haolot, right, which means like this. We know that the limbs, right, which are either called the Evrei Haolot, the limbs of the Korban Olah. Remember that the Olah is completely consumed, Kalil, right? It's completely, right, consumed on the Mizbeach. And the Murim was that certain parts of the Korbanot, they weren't given to the Kohanim, they had to bring them to the Mizbeach, and then the Kohanim used to come and eat the other parts of the Korban, or also the Baalim, depends which type of a Korban. So says the Gemara, the Mishnah, Evrei Tamid, the Evarim of the Korban Tamid. Remember that the Korban Tamid is what we learned yesterday, Tamid Shel Shachar, Tamid Shel Ben Arbaim, right? That's what we learned also this morning, what we read in the parasha of Olah Tamid Hasu Yaber Sinai, right? And therefore we bring a Korban Tamid in the morning and a Korban Tamid in the afternoon. And that's why we have Shachrit in the morning and Mincha in the afternoon. So Nitanin Mechatzi Kevesh Ulemata. So they are going to be placed by the Kohanim, right, on the lower part of the Kevesh. Okay, remember the Kevesh is a ramp, not the Keves. Some people make the mistake, right? They say Kevesh, Keves. There's a big difference. Kevesh, right, is the ramp. The Keves is a sheep. So there's a big difference, yeah? So there's the ramp that was going up to the altar, to the Mizbeach. So they used to put it on the lower half of the ramp, the Ma'arav on the west side. Okay, remember that the Kodesh HaKodashim, or the Hechal, was on the western side of the Bet HaMikdash. It wasn't to the eastern side. To the eastern side, but a lot of people, they don't realize that. Yeah? The Mishnah says that it's going to be on the west part. Now, the Evarim, the limbs of the Musafin, which are the Korbanot Musaf, which is basically Shabbat and Yom Tov, Nitanin Mechetzi Kevesh Ulmata B'Mizrach. They are going to be placed on the eastern side. So the previous one was on the western side, and now it's going to be put on the eastern side. Now, the ones of Musaf of Rosh Chodesh, which today is Rosh Chodesh, so the ones of Musaf of Rosh Chodesh, Nitanin al Karkova Mizbeach Milemalan, are going to be placed on the top of the Mizbeach, on the Gag of the Mizbeach, on the Karkov, right, on the top, as the Gemara is going to explain. Okay, so it says over here, what's the reasoning why the Musafim of Rosh Chodesh are put on a higher place than the other Korbanot? The Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan says in Masechet Sukkah Nun Hei Amud Aleph, right, in order to tell everybody that it's Rosh Chodesh, right, and to mechazek in the eyes of the people that the Kriyat HaChodesh is done through Betin. So because of that, that's why it's put right on top, on a higher place on the Mizbeach, so everybody sees it, right? Okay, fine. Continues the Mishnah and says, Hashekalim v'abikurim. The mitzvah to put machatzita shekel that every single year we used to give for the Korbanot Tzibur, or the bikurim. Remember, the bikurim was the mitzvah to bring the first fruits to the Bet HaMikdash. Ena noagin ala bifnei habayit. Right, it was only when there was a Bet HaMikdash, and not nowadays, because it has to be in front of the house. In front of the house is referring to the Bet HaMikdash. Aval ma'asar degan, but the mitzvah of separating trumot u'masrot from the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, or ma'asar be'ema, or the mitzvah separating from ma'aser, from the animals, u'bechorot, or for bechor's firstborns, right, of the animals, right, noagin ben bifnei habayit ben shelo bifnei habayit. It doesn't matter whether there's a Bet HaMikdash or not a Bet HaMikdash, right, and therefore even though you can't bring it to the Bet HaMikdash, we wait until it gets a blemish, and then they're going to become permitted to eat. Okay? Continues the Mishnah. Hamagdish shekalim ubikurim. Hareze kodesh. If somebody nowadays is going to come and he's going to consecrate money for shekalim or for bikurim, hareze kodesh. It is kodesh. You have to be very, very careful. That's why when we do the zechel matzit shekel, we always say it's zecher. Because if somebody is going to pick it up and say this is machatzit shekel, now you have a problem then. Because then that money has to go to the Bet HaMikdash and you can never use it again. You understand? Like it's a big problem. Bishimon argues and he says no. Ahomer bikurim kodesh, right? If he says bikurim, it is kodesh. So then enan kadosh, it says it's not going to be kodesh, which means because there's no shem bikurim nowadays when there's no Bet HaMikdash. That means by shekel yes, but by bikurim no. Okay, says the Gemara. Ezu karkova mizbeach. What is the karkova mizbeach? Because we just said, and that's what I was trying to give you the picture, right? But it doesn't actually give you the picture. It just right. It just tells you the right when we're talking about the heights and everything. So it says over here. Amma ben keren lekeren. There was one amma between one keren and another keren. Mekom hiluch raglei kohanim, which means that's where the kohanim would travel. Which means like this: the kohanim, you can't have that the top of the altar is only fire, because then, right, they get burnt, right? So what are they going to do? So they had to come and they had to have a space where they're able to walk around. So that space where they're able to walk around, right, is called the karkov hamizbeach. It's between one corner and another corner. Remember, these are the karanot. This is a keren, the corners. No. The corners are just keren. That's a keren, the keren. But around the keren, you see here the kohanim are walking. This is called the karkov. Okay, that means there's going to be an amma, right, which they're going to come and they're going to be walking around. Okay, so says the Gemara. Musafeh Shabbat or Musafeh Rosh Chodesh mikodem. What do you bring first? Musaf of Shabbat or Musaf of Rosh Chodesh? Obviously, we're talking about Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh falling the same time. So which one would come first? Okay. So why would you say Shabbat? Oh, very good. So he says here, Rabbi Yirmiyah Savar Mimar. Rabbi Yirmiyah Savar, he comes and he thought to say, Musafeh Shabbat, Musafeh Rosh Chodesh, Musafeh Rosh Chodesh Kodmi. You do Rosh Chodesh first. He says, why? The proof of Rabbi Yirmiyah was from here. Shiro shel Shabbat v'shiro shel Rosh Chodesh. The sheet of the Levim, when they used to say in the Bet HaMikdash on the Korban Tamim Musaf, right, which was a shir miuchad for every single day, when Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh fell out on the same day, shiro shel Rosh Chodesh kodem. They first used to do Rosh Chodesh first. So because of that, he said, listen, just like the shir, the song, the Tehillim of Rosh Chodesh comes before the Shabbat, so therefore you should do the same thing. So says the Gemara, it's not true. Why? Amar Rabbi Yosa, says Rabbi Yosa, Shanya Yitaman, it's different over there by the Levim. Amar Rabbi Chia Bershem Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Chia the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Kedei lefarsamu le'odiyos Rosh Chodesh. The reason why they had to do that was in order to show everybody that it's Rosh Chodesh. That's why they had to do it. Remember, we skipped the brackets. Beram hacha, but here to do the korbanot, Musfei Shabbat and Musfei Rosh Chodesh, Musfei Shabbat kodmin. Al Shem kol hatadir mechavero kodem et chavero. Right? Kodesh, right? Tadir kodem. Right? So Keitzad will say, how does he do it exactly? Shochem Musfei Shabbat. He first does the shechita of the Musaf of Shabbat. Ve'omer alen shilo shel Rosh Chodesh. You're going to say the shir of Rosh Chodesh, right? Before the shir of Shabbat. And then you continue. Okay? So that's the maskana of what he said. He pushed off the proof. And therefore, according to him, you do the one of Shabbat, obviously, first, even though the Rosh Chodesh song is first to tell everybody that it's Rosh Chodesh. Next, we learned in the Mishnah, Shekalim Bikurim. So if somebody is going to consecrate Shekalim Bikurim, it becomes holy. And according to Rabbi Shimon, it does not become holy. Only the Bikurim does, but not the Shekalim. Right? Sorry, the opposite. Only the Shekalim, not the Bikurim. Ha Shekalim Kachu, says the Gemara, 1 second. If somebody is going to consecrate Shekalim, right, even nowadays, it becomes Kodesh, even B'diavad. Right? But here, there's no machlokah between Rabbi Shimon and Tanakama. However, though, right, they said, Rabbi Shimon and Yudah, Rabbi Shimon, Benulu Velo Kachu. So it means even though in our Mishnah it only brought down one opinion, in Smashma that everybody agrees by Shekalim that it is a problem nowadays, there was a Shita of Rabbi Shimon ben Yudah named Rabbi Shimon, that both cases, whether Shekalim or Bikurim, it does not become holy. Okay? Next, Tani, we learned. Okay? Ger Bizman Hazeh. You have a convert nowadays that he converts. Ya tzarich lavi kino riv'it kesef. So he has to separate money, which is a reva of a dinar kesef, to bring his korban. Right, but remember when there was the Bet HaMikdash, a ger had to bring a ken. A ken is a pair of birds. That's Masechet Kinim. Right, a zugofot. Right, whether it's 2 doves or 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, whatever you want to call them, for a korban olah. Okay, so Amar Rabbi Shimon says Rabbi Shimon, bitla Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai mipenei hatakala. Do you know that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he annulled this obligation, and therefore he said you don't have to separate anything because of the takala. Because maybe what's going to happen is that maybe you're going to start benefiting from it, and then you do milah, and it's a problem. So for nowadays, a ger does not separate anything. But once upon a time, you had to separate a ken, like 2 birds, and those 2 birds used to go to Bet HaMikdash as a korban olah. So what was the takala? Ma'u mipnei takala. Kada the Tanya, just like we learned, en makdishim v'lo manichim v'lo machremin. That nowadays we don't consecrate, we don't do evaluations, which is the erech, right? The key line, my value goes to Bet HaMikdash, things like that. Or machrimin or cherem also, that this is cherem, which is consecrated Bet HaMikdash b'zman hazeh. Ve'im igdish. Now, if a person did do that, or ericho ichrim, hakesut tisaref. If it's going to be clothing, you have to burn it. Habema teaker, right? You have to be teaker. What do you mean uprooted? How do you uproot an animal? So it says the Gemara, how are you going to uproot the animal? Noel befanei atadela v'metem eleh. You have to lock up the door in front of it, and it dies on its own. Yeah, that's how you have to uproot the animal, right? Which means you're going to starve it to death. And the money you're going to throw at Yam HaMelech, which means that we see from here that because of the takala, it was so important for us to realize that we didn't want a downfall. We didn't want a stumbling block, right, on the people. So because we didn't want a stumbling block on the people, we made sure that it disappeared. There was nothing left. You understand? So therefore, if it was going to be clothing, we burnt it. You can't benefit from the clothing anymore. If it's going to be money, you throw it in the Yam HaMelech. That's it. It's going to be gone. That's it. Okay? So avar v'igdish. What happens though if the ger came and he was over on the takana of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and he did consecrate the money for the ken? So mimad amar Rabbi Shimon, that which Rabbi Shimon says bitla Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai min takala hadamar v'igdish. So it's mashma that he was mevatel because of the takala. So it's mashma that b'diavad, if he right, it wasn't mevatel the chiyuv. It was just in order that a person shouldn't come to takala. But if a person did separate it, it is going to become consecrated. That's what it's mashma. Rabbi Yehuda and Tudaria ba'eu kameh Rabbi Yosef. So Rabbi Yehuda and Tudaria came and he asked in front of Rabbi Yosef, hacha, to do it over in our case, if a get is going to come and he's going to separate money for his ken, at kavbet amubet 22b. At Tamar, are you going to say now kachu? Are you going to say now that it becomes consecrated? V'hacha at Tamar, and here you say lo kachu. So there's a stira. What's the difference? Why is it in the Braita that we just mentioned above to do with Magdish Shekalim? Nowadays, we said that according to Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yehuda, it's not kachu. And here, if you're going to be Magdish Ma'ot for the ken, for the ger, right, it is going to be Kodesh. What's the difference? So Amalei, so he answered him, Taman, over there by Shekalim, again, we're skipping out the brackets, over there by Shekalim, Shema Yibanei Abayit Kevarishona. Maybe the Bet HaMikdash Bezrat Hashem will be built again on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, just like it was inaugurated the first time around. The Mishkan was inaugurated on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. V'titarem Trumat HaLishka Min HaChadasha Bizmana. And then we're going to donate from the Trumat of the Lishka, right, from the new coins, Be'echa B'Nisan, on the first of Nisan, right, because we don't do it to Korbanot Tzibur, only from the first ones. But here, to do the get that he's separating money for his ken, what are you going to say? Even if it's going to say now that the Bet HaMikdash will come and he's going to build, Bezat Hashem is feeling in our days is going to be built, and the get could bring his money and everything, even though lechatchila you shouldn't do it because of the takana, nevertheless, but the avad, right, if he did separate it, it's still holy, right? So that's a difference. So then, obviously, Rav Amnuna is just going to come and say what the halacha is like, but I don't want to finish it, so that way, Bezrat Hashem, we'll be able to do the Siyum Masechet, right, very, very quickly, Bezrat Hashem.